Hi, hello, and welcome to the first video of a content series here that I didn't expect to turn out this way. When I recorded the 10 plus video that you'll see after this clip, I went to my phone, I checked it, and I saw the not enough storage notification. And I immediately thought, you have got to be kidding me. I just spoke for this long and share all that stuff, and it felt so good, and it didn't record it, or I didn't check it just yet. So past me would have absolutely deleted what I recorded, would have maybe re-recorded, but definitely would have felt defeated and just pretty much just spiral after that. But present me didn't do that. So what I first did is I gave myself space. I saw that I recorded at least 10 minutes. So I'm like, okay, there's a big chunk there. That's good. So I took space from it from in the week that I recorded it. I started a new week with fresh eyes. I listened to everything and I'm like, I know I can't waste this. And here we are. Even though it's not how I expected it to be, it's what it'll be. It'll be the very first one for the series. And moving on forward, hopefully it'll be how I envision it. But regardless, there's a lesson in and of itself here. The content that you create, whether it's how you have wanted it to be or how you expected it to be when you either like created it, recorded it, put it together, whatever, it is still valuable. You can still absolutely use it, and it's more than okay for it to exist in a different way. There are other opportunities to make things in the way you want it to, but this experience that I just shared and how I'm using this lesson is a great demonstration of that. So enjoy it. Imagine you could feel the essence of your offer, the vibe of your podcast, or the tempo of your content that exists in the grander scheme of what you're building through your brand. You can hear it, sense it, smell it, taste it. You can even vividly see what you want to do next with it. What if I told you the tool for this is an envisioning practice? This is part of my story through a series called Story in Motion, where I chit-chat about my own experiences to bridge the gap in yours. Let's get into it. So the way I started coming up with this envisioning practice that is so foundational to what I do in how I create my offers, how I create stuff for my podcast or like the vibe for it, how I create literally anything, whether it's a freebie, whether it's an idea that I have in mind, having this envisioning practice in my toolkit or in the process of how I do things has changed my entire world. But it didn't really start with there. So I am a very visual person, so it's easy for me to envision worlds in my mind. Like if you were in there, you would be like, what? Like, this is a lot. But it comes so naturally to me, but also it has become a tool that I go back to over and over again, like I said. But it started with actually a thread I'm about to read you that I posted in September in 2024. And I wrote, I have this reoccurring vision / dream of cooking my favorite foods for my favorite people, in parentheses, current and those I haven't met yet, and serving them in these huge bowls. The setup is outside just before sunset in some backyard filled with lights, candles, a long table, romantic / rustic / gardeny centerpieces, 3 to 4 kind of drinks to choose from, and a playlist in the background that's just vibes. I think about this so much. It's practically on loop. And that honestly took its life of its own. So remember, I said this in September 2024. I'm recording this in April 2025. And since that point, I was going through my existing offer suite and thinking about like how I want to continue developing it. What do I want to launch soon? What do I want to create? And there was this one particular offer. I actually don't remember the name right now, but that's not important. I had one offer that was, I believe, a 12-week intensive, something like that. And then as I was refining it, as I was, talking to my coaches at the time in September, I was like, okay, I think I want to create a group offer. Like, it would be really great. And of course, like, that was that offer that I don't remember the name to, that was the foundation of wanting to do these, to do a group offer. But for whatever reason, like, that wasn't working. But from November, actually until the beginning of this month, April, I worked closely with a coach who just like helped me uproot so much stuff. And I say unearth as well because it felt like a total unearthing. And I built my whole entire foundation of my business and how I just maneuver in it. And I'm learning as I'm going, but being able to have those 4 months to work so intensely on that without knowing that that was gonna be the process, just magical, honestly, so magical. But back to the envisioning practice. So I don't know if in conversation I was like, I meditate a lot, so that's actually probably where it started. So I was like, you know what, let me meditate on this offer. There's this group offer that I really want to do. I don't necessarily know how it's going to be facilitated. I don't know if the length that I said beforehand with the 12 weeks was something I wanted to do, but like let me sit on it. So I meditate on it. I didn't come up with my envisioning practice just then, but like bits and pieces were coming together until eventually I created Garden Party, which is my 6-month group immersive or immersive group program where you are able to honestly learn how to take it slow to launch an offer or anything else that you're working on that you can't stop thinking about. But let me share with you what I was able to, I guess, come up as my signature envisioning practice. What I tend to do is I have this list of questions, and through the list of questions, I ask myself that before I sit in meditation. And I do like closing my eyes, but if you're not comfortable with that, then like just relaxing, maybe looking at the tip of your nose or the ground in front of you can really give you the same effect. So I ask myself these questions, and I don't put any pressure whatsoever in the meditation. I'm going to answer each one. What I do is I read them to myself, sometimes out loud, sometimes in my head. And then I just sit down, close my eyes, and I meditate for as long as it takes. And like I said, I am very visual, so it's easier for me to tap into this, but sometimes it might take time to get into it, to envision anything, if I have a lot going on or if I'm just not feeling well or whatever the case may be. But what came up in this envisioning practice for Garden Party, for this offer that has become the bedrock of everything that I've done, everything that I've built since that time, is just unbelievable. So in that envisioning practice, what I envisioned was a house with a deck out in the back and a garden that's lush, filled with greens, browns, maroons, reds, blush pink, and soft whites. So just imagine that. And it kind of matches what I wrote in the thread, but I honestly didn't know that thread would lead me here. It's just incredible what happens when you just like work through what comes naturally to you. And then I imagined it was actually, instead of just like, or that is just a one night thing, it's actually like a retreat. It's 3 days, 2 nights in between end of summer, start of autumn. And then there's like appetizers, entrees, desserts, drinks, there's wooden tables, there's pens, journals, icebreaker cards, rustic romantic decor, golden candelabras with white candlesticks, romantic centerpieces with flowers of beautiful colors, fireplace with some seats and benches on the side tables of charcuterie boards, big lush green bushes and trees, lights, speakers for music. It's inviting, electric, exciting, it sparks curiosity, it's grounding, open-hearted, connecting. There is background music, but it's more on the busy side, not the music, but just the environment. But it's really more active than anything, and a lot of mingling going on. And the type of people that are at this party are open-minded creatives, entrepreneurs, and individuals ready to go deeper. And then I kind of also envisioned but I sat in the envisioning practice and really felt what I want to feel, what people also feel from the experience, what emotions come up, and then how it ties back in to my brand and my offers and everything that I'm building through my business. And this started with Garden Party, and then it went I didn't know that I was going to use it for my podcast, but I'm like, let me sit with it for the grounds, which is my podcast. And I was like, oh my goodness, every single offer has its own pulse, own world, own vibe. But what I noticed with everything that I have in my offer suite and everything that I've been creating is that they all exist in this one huge estate. Now, what do you do with all this? Not only does it help you again with like the vibe of whatever you're creating, but it also gives you visuals. So in addition to the envisioning practice, what I do is I go into a Notion page that I create and I just pull pictures, write everything that I envisioned, like everything that I just shared with you. And then somewhere at some point, and actually the envisioning practice comes after I answer the question of my why. Like, why does this offer exist? Not because I want to make money, not because I run a business, no, but on a deeper level, like what does it mean to me? And usually that helps and supports the envisioning practice as well. And then because I do the practice, I also am able to answer like, what's the success of the offer itself or whatever it is that I'm creating. And I jot down however many that I can, but if I can't think of much, I at least do 4. And then from the why and sometimes the envisioning practice together, it gives me my core brand messages. But for me, what I've noticed is as soon as I write my why, I have my core messages there. So I usually come up with 3 or 4, and then I go into who the dreamy client is, or the dreamy subscriber, or the dreamy listener, whatever it is that I'm creating. And then I write notes to it. I write what's included in it, and all the things. And then all of this just builds the foundation, because then as I'm in that energy of the offer and I'm in the energy of garden party for this in particular, I am able to talk about it in a way that like really, really embodies it, really talks to it without me having to overthink over and over again, like, oh my goodness. And that's where it cut off. But what I meant to wrap up with is that everything that this envisioning practice helps you with is position your offer or whatever it is that you're working on. It helps you understand how you want your content to look and feel, how you want to speak within your copywriting, the topics that you want to have through it, and maybe, just maybe, how it'll actually be in person or in a physical space if it ever decides to, or you ever decided to have an off-screen experience of it. Now, it wouldn't be me if I didn't leave you prompts to reflect on. So, for what you're working on right now, ask yourself these 3 questions. Where would it physically be? What's in it? And what's the experience? Thank you so much for being here and watching Storing Emotion. See you in the next one.